Imagine your own army of robots, tiny microscopic robots that can be deployed into your body to fight whatever health issue that may have arisen. These robots are specifically yours. They're not foreign bodies made from metal or plastic. They're not viruses or bacteria. They are made from you. They are you. Is this the future of medicine? Is this the future of engineering? How are these robots made? If we can make these natural, organic things the way that nature makes them, can we unlock the way that nature makes everything? Would that be amazing? Are Anthrobots amazing? What are Anthrobots? Anthro for human and robots for, well, robots. Anthrobots are robots made from human cells. Side note, they're not actually, by definition, robots. They're not really performing any computations. But if you think of robot as an entity that automatically performs tasks, then these little fellas are robots. A research team from Tufts University in Boston have developed these biological robots, biobots, if you like. They are a small cluster of cells, anywhere between 100 and 1,000 cells, only around the thickness of a human hair, that can move around and perform tasks. These biobots are the first of their kind to be made from human cells, but they're not the first of this type of biobot. That would be a xenobot.
Anthrobot, xenobot. You're making all these up, aren't you? How many bots have you got?
How about shut up bot? Watch the video bot,
In 2020, Michael Levin and his colleagues used stem cells from the embryo of a frog called Xenopus lavis, hence xenobot. These biobots could move around a petri dish and perform tasks, collecting other cells in this case. There are a few important differences here though between xenobots and anthrobots, differences that have big implications for their future use. Anthrobots are made from our own adult cells. Xenobots were made from stem cells in frog embryos. Before the anthrobot breakthrough, we didn't know if this was something that could only be done with specifically amphibian cells, or just embryonic stem cells in general.
And what are stem cells? Cells of a stem, no doubt, like on a flower?
No, not from the stem of a flower. In animals, there are two types of stem cells. Embryonic stem cells.
Great smoothie ingredient.
Gross.
I'm the baddie. What, you expect me to eat strawberries?
Embryonic stem cells, the very start of an animal. Cells that are all the same but can and do go on to almost magically become any type of cell in the body. And adult stem cells, similar concept but produced in places like our bone marrow and with a much more limited ability in what they can become.
Less magical?
Less magical, but less controversial too. Without a time machine, we can't get our own embryonic stem cells, and using another human embryo stem cells creates all sorts of medical, ethical and legal issues. And as we mentioned, we were only talking about frog embryo stem cells at this point anyway. To that end, creating anthrobots from our own human adult cells is the big leap from xenobots to anthrobots. That and the frog thing.
Big leap, lol. They use frogs and you said big leap? Well, that makes me hoppy.
What did the frog... I don't know. Unforgettable. Something about unforgettable. Don't matter.
Apart from seeming harder to do, why is it important that anthrobots are made from our own adult stem cells instead of another creature's magic stem cells? Well, a biobot made from a cell of a frog is a foreign body. Using human cells, a patient's own cells, means that no immune response will be triggered, and so there is no need for immunosuppressive medication. We're not going to attack these things. These fellas are friendly. And they only last a few weeks before naturally breaking down and being reabsorbed back into our body. Anthrobots should not be confused with something like a virus or a bacteria. Anthrobots, despite sounding tough, can only survive under specific conditions outside of the body, in a lab. So there is no risk of unintended spread or exposure. They do not reproduce either, so there is no danger of them harnessing natural selection and evolving into, well, something else.
A mega anthrobot mutant spoiling to take over the world?
He just said no danger. More danger are you knowing what day of the week it is.
It's Frison Day.
Another big difference between xenobots and anthrobots is how they are made. Xenobots are assembled manually, surgically, created using scalpels and tweezers, whereas anthrobots are self-assembling. But how? How are anthrobots made? Anthrobots start as a single cell, taken from the trachea of an adult. Their being taken from here is not a coincidence, it's not chosen randomly. These trachea cells have little hair-like structures on them, called cilia.
Cilia. These videos are getting sillier and sillier.
In the trachea, these cells and their cilia help push out or move on tiny particles of stuff that have found their way into the airway and shouldn't be there.
You've had enough, pal. Time for you to leave.
In Anthrobots, these little appendages are their propulsion system, enabling them to move or swim, like loads of little arms or oars. These single trachea cells are then grown in a lab to form small multicellular groups in a spheroid shape.
And what's spheroid? It sounds sphere-like, but not totally spherical.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Although the way these groups are formed is being manipulated, they are assembling themselves, growing themselves. They're not being put together or built as with Xenobots. The researchers found that by using different growth conditions, they could make these groups of cells have different features and attributes, despite them all having the same DNA. This is another important point about the creation of Anthrobots. They don't have to be altered by genetically modifying them or added to using synthetic materials. Some of these Anthrobots, these spheroids, would be fully covered in cilia. Some would just have patches of cilia in different places. Therefore, with their propulsion systems arranged in different ways, they would move in different ways. Some would move in straight lines, some would move in curved lines, some in tight little circles, some would just sit around wiggling.
Bit like you on a night out.
To test an exciting potential application of the Anthrobots, the researchers set up an experiment. In a petri dish, they had a thin layer of human neurons. They scratched away an area of those neurons to open up and mimic a wound, using a group of Anthrobots made mainly of the circlers and wrigglers. The Anthrobots were able to not just travel along these neurons, but stimulated regrowth of the neurons underneath them. Although it is not exactly known how or why this occurred, there was no growth of neurons where there were no Anthrobots. The wound didn't heal when exposed to other things either, both synthetic or organic. A petri dish is of course very different to the complex workings of the environment in a human body, but nevertheless the evidence is there that Anthrobots healed living human tissue. Good work, Anthrobots.
It was our pleasure.
By combining the features and attributes of different cells, the Anthrobots could be designed to move through the body and perform all sorts of different functions. Further developments could lead to applications such as clearing plaque from the arteries, repairing spinal cord damage, or delivering drugs to specific targets in the body, amongst many, many other exciting things.
Ooh, ice cream delivered directly onto the tongue.
No.
Killer lasers. From the eyes. Specifically for targeting puppies.
No.
Not that exciting then, is it? I've already got that anyway.
A way to think of what Anthrobots are and what is trying to be achieved is this. They are using cells that already do certain things, specific things. Can we then use those cells as clip-on modular additions to build something else? Can a robot, an organism, be created that has the features or attributes of the components used to make it? Like, this robot needs to do this, so it will need to contain this, this, and this. Like, this robot needs to put out fires, so it will need a hose pipe on it. It also needs to work in the dark, so let's clip on a light, that kind of thing. This is of course a way of thinking that we have long had in various areas of engineering, using off-the-shelf solutions put together to solve specific problems. Think of something as simple as bricks used to build a wall. You don't have to reinvent a brick every time you want to build a wall, but nevertheless your wall is pretty unique. But what if those bricks could build the wall themselves? That is the importance of the self-assembly nature of the Anthrobots.
Be amazing whatever.
Interestingly, Gizem Gumuskaya, the co-inventor of Anthrobots, first trained in architecture. Gizem explains how the goal with this project was to engineer new systems by using and leveraging what nature has to offer. Nature has unique properties in terms of morphogenesis, the construction of form, regeneration, healing, replication of constituent building blocks, self-construction, the ability to sense and respond to the environment. These are things that we can't yet achieve artificially or synthetically. I'm sure Gizem is not the only one who would love humanity to crack this.
The amazing whatever.
If you thought Anthrobots were pretty simple sounding, or you thought, so what, I'm healthy, I won't need those, or I just don't want them, then realise, to achieve seemingly crazy things in the future, we have to take hard, clever, but seemingly unrelated first steps. Can you imagine clothing or buildings once we have truly mastered morphogenesis? Go back to your wall. Could it rebuild itself if it got knocked down? Respond to weather conditions? Move if it needed to?
Become your new best friend, perhaps, if you wanted it to? Give you a back rub, or just really listen when you're lonely?
We have, of course, for millennia taken inspiration for our design and engineering from nature, with the shape of aerodynamic birds, shark skin, whale fins, honeycomb structures and various architecture, all being examples of where we've copied the success of nature. But this is different. This is, as Gizem says, what are the rules there? What are the knobs we can turn? Can we use the way our brilliant human brains have goal-orientated thinking, as in, what do we want to achieve here? What are the design requirements? And couple that with the way that nature does things, achieving things like regeneration, self-construction, or responding to the environment. These things would revolutionise our human living experience. Something I find interesting with subjects like this is that when I first read about Anthrobots, I was amazed. I thought this sounded amazing. I thought it was amazing that people like Gizem, Gumuskaya and Michael Levin exist. People that are so technically skilled, educated, clever and motivated to be able to perform this kind of research. But more than that they want to perform this kind of research. Humans want to master not only our own bodies, but nature itself. How does nature make things? We want to do that. They want to improve on things, push boundaries to be amazing, whatever. But then I had a thought that this was my subjective view of amazing, and maybe amazing isn't black or white.
Wow, you mean you might not always be right?
I could easily see a viewpoint here with this kind of research that could alarm some people. In terms of interfering with how our body functions, where is the line that is okay? Are these Anthrobots unnatural creations we are putting in our bodies? Or are they no different to our own white blood cells attacking infection?
Come here, you.
Or red blood cells carrying oxygen? Well, they're single cells. Anthrobots are multicellular. So what about a kidney? That's a collection of cells that perform a task. But that's part of us. It's big. Well, how big does it need to be part of us? What does part of us really mean? Thinking about Anthrobots, this collection of cells, gets me thinking about what even is a collection of cells. What even is an organism?
Organism.
What is an ecosystem? A collection of things interacting? Could you say a city is pretty analogous to an organism? A collection of cells? What about the universe? Well then, how connected really are we all? How connected is everything? Are we looking at the universe as being the wrong kind of thing?
Oh God, he's on one again. Reel it in, pal, will ya?
What about what we want these biobots to do in our body? Heal things? Sure. Fix things? Yep. Make us strong again if we become weak? Makes sense. Make us strong? Superhumanly strong? Cleverer? Live longer? Live indefinitely? Well, now we're talking about a lot of power to wield. How does that make you feel? I'm not religious, but I can imagine to someone who is, there will be some questions about the creation of life itself. A single cell is technically alive. How many of these modular cells stuck together does it take until there's a thing, an organism, a creature? Or is that no different to having a vial of your blood? Or an organ kept alive in a lab? Are they organisms? What features of a created organism from your own cells makes you feel uncomfortable? I'm of course getting carried away, and any debate over human medicine and technology isn't just limited to Anthrobots. In fact, moral and ethical considerations are probably at a more pertinent stage in other areas of tech, like AI and gene editing. I just think it's important to recognise that amazing to one person is scary or unacceptable to another. And I want to try and remember that on my own journey of looking for the amazing in the world. But I don't think it's up to the creators and inventors to make the rules of whether we should do something. It's up to us as a society whether we should use it or put it in the bin for our own good. I don't know where human medical advancement needs to stop for the good of the species or the good of the individual. Was it before antibiotics? Is it when all diseases don't exist? Is it when we don't age? Is it when we're superhuman? Are we already superhuman? I don't know, but I don't think we need to stop just yet.
The amazing whatever.
For what it's worth, I hope I've made it clear that I think Anthrobots and the team researching them are amazing. I particularly like the way that it sounds that Gizem Gumuskaya is approaching this. When I first saw a headline about Anthrobots and briefly read the article, I just thought that this medical treatment sounded pretty cool and that it was worth finding out some more about. But this isn't just about a medical treatment. This significant but quite small experiment inspires thoughts about the greater picture of how nature itself works. I love creating, building things. I love seeing what other humans have built. And I've never really thought of it like this before, that we build things, but nature grows things. How does it do that? Can we do that? That's probably the most exciting part of this for me, the amazing part. Because of Anthrobots, because of everything, despite everything. Be amazing, whatever. I've left some links in the description of the published paper about Anthrobots and the website where you can find out more about the team. There's also a really good interview with Gizem Gumuskaya on Sean Carroll's podcast that I'll link down below too. If you want to know more about our channel, there's a link in the description to our channel trailer. If you want to come with us as we try to find the amazing in the world, please do subscribe.